Is it working?
Yeah, I think it's going.
You
Okay.
want to check it?
Yeah, I suppose we should.
It's recording.
Okay, where are we? Okay.
This is Vicki Peterson, the lead guitar and sing.
This is Susanna Hoffs, rhythm guitar and vocals.
This is Debbi Peterson, drums and vocals.
And your bass player's not here right now, and she's...
Taking a shower.
She's very clean.
Doesn't plan in advance. We all took our showers earlier.
But her name?
We don't believe in showers.
What's her name?
We're not telling you her name.
Okay, the listener will have to read the album.
Yes, you'll have to buy the album, listen to it, and then look on the back and get the name.
In that order.
Okay, now she's not your original bass player, is she? Annette. Now, how do you pronounce her name here? I can't say it.
Annette Zelinskas.
And where is she now?
That's difficult to say. No, she's back in LA. She's in a band called Blood on the Saddle. So she's alive and well and living in Los Angeles, as far as we know.
Okay, couldn't you give me like a brief history? A lot of the listeners of the station, like the Bangles in Ottawa, just seem to come out of left field.
Find out about us with the Heretics of All video. Do you have video out here, or did you find out with Much Music, right? Oh, I was just curious, because it seems like in Canada, a lot of people have seen our videos, which, video's big up here.
We don't get airplay except for the college stations. Yay! We started out as the Bangs. Actually, before that, we were in the Colors. And Vicki and I were in a band, and we found Susanna Hoffs through a paper called The Recycler in Los Angeles. And we got together, and we were like a garage band for about a year and a half. And we recorded our own single. Am I doing this right?
Well,
No.
yeah.
We recorded our own single. I was there, I think. We recorded our own single on Down Kitty Records, which is our own label that we made up all by ourselves. And we found Annette Zelinskas like a week after we found Susanna. And
We all found each other. It was a very
we found
spiritual
it.
experience. It was very religious.
We found
yes.
it, yes.
I think you've answered this question over and over again.
Yeah, sometimes I answer it differently though.
Okay, well that's just to get a basic thing so people know what we're talking about. Is you reach for your role here. Get a sound.
College radio comes into the fore.
Meaning.
Small record label that we had started, that, like Debbi mentioned, Down Kitty, we had our own record, and we started sending it to all the college stations, and we developed a sort of name for ourselves around the United States, even in Europe too, based on college radio and underground magazines and things like that. We were playing the LA scene, the LA club scene, with a lot of other very interesting bands. We were very lucky that right when we started to play clubs, there was a bunch of very interesting bands in town, and we all did shows together, like the Dream Syndicate, the 3 O'Clock, the Long Riders, Green on Red, Rain Parade, all those bands. And then we got hooked up with the management team of Miles Copeland and Mike Gormley, who's from Ottawa. One of our managers is from Ottawa, and signed up with FBI Booking and went on tour with the English Beat, and we came to Canada too, which is interesting. We played Toronto 3 nights with them. We did a 6-week tour. It was in 1982, and then about 6 months after that, we did our own club tour behind the EP, which we did on Faulty, which is a very quick project. It was a 24-hour thing. We went in the studio, cut 5 songs, put the thing out, and toured behind that, and then we got signed to CBS, and the rest is history. It's all history.
The rest is in the future.
Yes, the future of America is right here at this table.
Okay, now what is a bangle? Is it like something you wear around your wrist? What is it? Is it a haircut? Is it a name of a?
It hangs loose. It's anything that hangs loose. Bangle means to hang loose. Okay, dude. Like so that means.
If you have a large enough dictionary, that's what it means.
Yeah, they can edit this back in the studio. One magazine I was reading, which shall remain nameless, said, because I don't remember the name. One thing.
I was wondering if there was some scandal involved.
No scandal, no. I was looking for one, I couldn't find one. Was summing up the influence of your sound? This is the old influence the sound question.
Yeah, but they were wrong.
They were probably wrong. That's what I was about to say.
Exaggerating. They were condensing. They were compressing. And it became distorted because compression to that extreme level distorts, turns into distortion. Yes, we were big Beatle fans, of course.
Oh, you're not ashamed to admit it.
No. Are you kidding?
But some people don't know how to take a joke.
Right. We don't want to. We don't think we are going to be the next Beatles. We don't want to be. We don't plan to be. No one's going to be that. It's a ridiculous notion. And we don't have that many balls. We don't have that much.
Don't have
we
any of that.
don't, we don't have that nerve. We don't have that fantasy. That's some psychotic fantasy to think that you could do that. We're happy to just be the Bangles. We have, our own dreams of getting played on the radio, selling records and, playing bigger and bigger places and making feature films, Broadway musicals. No. But we don't want to be.
Great American novels.
Then you
World domination.
World domination by 1987. So Beatles is an influence. So did you guys like grow up with the radio? Was the radio like a constant companion?
Yeah, we were very, very young, but we were still aware of music at a ridiculously early age because our parents listened to top 40 radio, our older siblings listened to top 40 radio.
Well,
it was the thing in the house.
This is what this magazine said. You have like, this is the direct quote, not mine, 1966 West Coast AM groups. Like they said the Association, the Turtles.
You can't not listen to radio when you grow up in Los Angeles because you're in a car all the time. There's no subway or anything. It's a great car city, and so this radio is on all the time, and it's just playing, and your life is going by. It's like having a soundtrack to your life that includes, Dylan and Dusty Springfield and all these great people and the Birds.
The Birds. Now, one thing I liked about your band immediately was your vocal style.
Mm-hmm.
And one friend of my friend in Montreal is a big Birds fan. He listens to you because he likes the similarities there.
Yeah.
Or you would say there's an influence there? Or?
Yeah.
A subtle influence.
You seem to have like a layered effect in your vocals.
Well, we have so many voices singing at the same time that you can't help but have a layering effect.
And you all sing. Yeah.
Part of this thing, it's sort of a choral, spitting into the microphone, sort of a choral approach where we have 4 people who all sing leads, and so instead of it being one lead voice and little doo-wops in the background, it's sort of 4 voices, intertwining and crashing around each other, things.
Who arranges the songs? Like, do you
We
arrange
all
them
do.
yourself? Yeah.
Everybody.
So why doesn't Michael get to sing in the first album?
Well, it's not that she doesn't get to. It's just
She lost all the arm wrestling matches.
she didn't sing any of the
None
songs
of
that
the
we
songs
ended
that
up
were on,
choosing,
yeah.
and also she was pretty new to the group, and she hadn't written much yet.
How long
and
has she been with the group?
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
the 3 of us, started the group, and we tend to have, in the past, sung the most and still do. And it doesn't mean that Michael is not a singer and doesn't sing, but she's still growing, and she hasn't, contributed that many songs yet.
She likes
So
taking
as
showers.
soon as- Yeah, and she prefers to take showers, so there you have it.
There you go.
Now, don't you write most of the songs? On this
On
first
this
album
album
you
I
did.
have, yes.
I was noticing
Yes.
you. Now, is there like the songwriting duty shared by everybody? It's just a coincidence that you have most of them on
Well,
the album? Or?
it's whoever brings in. There's no law saying, thou shalt not write.
No, it's the same thing as the singing. Vicki writes more songs, so therefore she tends to. More of her songs end up being used. She's more prolific and she's more involved in writing.
Well, how do you put a song together?
I write with her too, though, sometimes.
Yeah. How do you put a song together when one of you brings it into the group?
You have a part and you have an unfinished part to it. Either the lyrics are not finished or the music is not finished, and we collaborate in a pretty holy way. Not meaning holy as in, religious, but sometimes
We
we.
both become involved with both parts of songwriting, and then when the song is finished, when we feel good about it, we'll bring it to the band and sort of get things started with a groove and just talk about it, and the whole band throws in suggestions, and we just fight it out and work out the song until it feels right to us.
Do you have a backlog of songs now? Like those 11 or how many songs on the album? Do you have more? Like-
We have some new ones that we're working on, but it's not like we've got
You don't do them in
a
concert,
ton
do
of
you?
old ones. No, not yet.
Well, let's say, how many songs you got in the first album? 10, 11?
11.
And you got 5 in the EP. Is it like, what other songs did you do live?
We do a couple covers live.
Being?
We do a Yardbird song,
Yeah.
and when we do club dates, we do Where Were You, which was the B-side of our first single,
What was the A-side?
Hero Takes a Fall.
Oh, yeah.
So, we'll do that, and it depends on the night, etc. It depends on where we're playing. But see, right now we're opening up for Cyndi Lauper, and so we're on stage for 45 minutes, if that. We want to play most of the songs off the album.
It's almost like a one set from a club when you used
Yeah,
to.
it's just, it's a shorter version.
How do you approach a live show as compared to like last night the Montreal Forum as compared to a small LA club? Like what's the transition there?
Well, as far as size, there's no real difference. I mean, it's not like you're aware that there are 10,000 people out there because you can't really see them the way you're situated on stage and the way the lights are. But the size of the stage obviously is, it's so much bigger. There's a lot more room to move around. The sound is very different when you're playing on a large stage.
Did you have to learn to move differently on the large stage than the small?
No, it's not that it's different. It's just you have more room to travel.
It will give you.
You do have to be conscious of the fact that there's somebody way the hell out there. And your gestures, I think in a club there's no room to move often. We find that we're trapped and we want to move and we can't. I mean, I've bruised people by turning around too hard or running too far in a direction and hitting them. It's like we're bumping into each other a lot of times in clubs. In the big arenas, sometimes you have to make your gestures a little bigger.
So you're not a band that stands right in front of the microphones and sings. You like movement. Good.
Somebody told me I was like a kangaroo last night. I don't know. I took that the wrong way. I think he didn't speak English and he thought.
What's that from?
No. Well, as far as movement goes, all I can move is my head, being a drummer. So I do have a difficult time.
You sing in concert. Do you do
Yeah.
songs too?
Mm-hmm. We'll do about 3 or 4 songs.
Okay.
3 songs.
And you do that many? That's
Yes.
kind of rare for a drummer to sing that many songs.
Me and Dave Clark.
You and Dave Clark. Okay. Did you always play drums?
Mm-hmm.
Or did you just decide to sing? Why
Well,
waste your voice? Just 'cause you're playing drums?
As a kid, I used to sort of walk around the house singing, but I wanted to be I wanted to be a musician. I didn't care what it was. I play anything. I want to be either a guitar player, a bass player, or a drummer. I'll do anything. I just want to be in a band. I was so into that when I was about 15. And then I finally, became a drummer, and then decided to sing too because I wanted to sing. So it was kind of like a shared thing. Vicki and I had our little baby band thing happening, and so we'd like sing together in unison a lot of the time. So really enjoyed singing.
Okay, the album All Over the Place. The title, is it supposed to mean that you really haven't got a sound down yet? I mean, not a sound, but you really haven't got a road you want to go down, so you're kind of like trying different things all over the place maybe? Or?
That's probably what our producer would have said it meant, because he was so hung up on where is this album taking us?
It
What
seems
are
to
we
go
saying
at
with
least 3 or 4 different places, so I
funny.
enjoy that.
Yeah, it did. Every time it was pretty song oriented. We approached every song differently. What is best for this song, even if it doesn't sound like the first song or the second song? What is going to make this song work? And so in that way, it's not like a concept album where everything is, there's a thread of continuity. The All Over the Place title, it came the night before we had to decide on the title. It was the deadline. We were sitting in a restaurant, much like we are now, and we seem to make our most vital decisions over restaurant tables. David Kahn was telling us how he was trying to explain the album to a friend, and he just said, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's just all over the place. The playing, the singing, everything. It's just all over the place. And I said, well, that sounds like a good enough title to us.
Where was the cover photo taken? Is that like your practice space, or is that just one?
Could be.
Oh, could be.
It was an airplane hangar. It was a huge airplane hangar.
Yeah.
Santa Monica, yeah. Oh, what, you just
California.
decided to shoot it there? Or
Yeah, we just shut up one day and said,
brought in your
move the
Fender
plane
amp,
over.
brought in your
Right.
things, and
Brought in
but-
our deer skull and our incense.
and whatever else.
All that stuff is ours.
Now, one song on the album, the one I like the best, James. I just like the.
You and Marshall Crenshaw and Elvis Costello.
Well, they like it too?
They like it.
Well, I respect both songwriters, so good.
do we.
I like the way it kind of bounces, especially the beginning. It's like the beginning comes on and you're not expecting what's going to come after. I expect more like
Yeah.
a white funk song, but then you
Right.
slip into almost like a
Jackson
early
5.
60s kind of, yeah. Yeah, it's like you different influences. Like you're not pegged as the, and I hate this number read a magazine, the typical girl group. The one thing I read.
Not like Fanny. I know. It's so weird. That's the typical girl group, right? Or we're not like girls' school. I know.
What we're playing is just, it's a combination of a lot of influences. It's a combination of things we like. It's just what is coming out of us. It's not an intention to be macho or an intention to be feminine or anything like that. It's just us. Well, that's what we want. We don't want to be thought of as strictly a girl group or whatever. We just want to be thought of as a band, 'cause that's what we are, just another
Our
band.
gender is important, but it's not the focal point. It in and of itself, it's not that important. I mean,
It has to do with how we write, of course. I mean, we are writing from a female point of view, and when you see us live on stage, it's part of the visual thing. You know, it's just like if you see any band, if you see, well, a band we know, the Dream Syndicate. I don't know if
I
you've
saw
seen
them
them
over where I
play.
am here, yeah.
Okay, when you probably didn't see them when Kendra Smith was in the band, but they had a female bass player.
That's right.
The difference when she was in the band and when she's not in the band, just in the chemistry on
Definitely.
stage, it was tangible. You could feel it.
So
You
you're
know.
saying it was better when she was there?
I'm not necessarily saying it's better or worse. I'm
different,
just saying
it's
it's
a
very
different
different.
type of- yeah.
It makes a difference, the gender of the people on stage, and for women on stage gives off a different vibe than
there
for
was a
men on
tension when
stage.
she was in the band. It wasn't like a bunch of guys up there. There was something.
It made it kind of special in
Yeah.
a way. So we appreciate that, sense of possible specialness that we could have just because we're women, but we don't exploit it. I mean, it's not that important to us.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what might make it stand out above other girl groups or whatever that the critics are so willing to peg here or
Yeah.
there.
We try to make it difficult to peg ourselves.
Okay, speaking of that, one critic, I agreed with this comment, said that the album is a very good all the way around. It's very good, but he says there's no one great big single that kind of takes you by the throat, you know,
Yeah.
and the type of music that you seem to be doing right now, what would make it all fit together better is if you had that big kind of like 1960s type single, the big single bands of the 60s, where they'd be known more for the singles and albums. Like, are you conscious of that, or do you,
Well, you can't.
like, do you go out and try to write the hit singles?
No, you can't.
Do that. How do you sit down and say,
I
I'm
sit
going
there
to
every night
write,
and try to do it.
I'm going to write, fine, that's great. There's nothing wrong with sitting it down every time you write a song saying this one's going to be a great hit.
Yeah.
Great. But there's nothing that you can do differently. I mean, do you sit down and say, I'm going to write a song that's not a hit?
Obviously,
Of course not. You know, and you just, whatever, we're writing not just to make hits, we're writing to write.
To write,
You
right.
know, and it's just, it's impossible. Eventually, things will happen for us, if not off this album, off the next, but
I mean, look at the Prince album. There's so many nice, good, great songs on that record, and I don't know how they picked the singles. I mean, I wouldn't have necessarily picked When Doves Cry. I mean, there's so many singles. Sometimes it's not that there's just a lot of filler and there's one song that pops off. It's hard to know what makes it hit. I mean, sometimes it's just hearing something a lot on the radio that's already good that you would like. I don't know.
Why Hero Takes the Fall then is your first? Was your first single from the album?
Well, but somebody at the label thought it was the strongest.
we didn't care about that. I tell you, when we were recording this album, we wanted every single song on the album to be good and to be a possible single. And when they said, then we presented them the album, we said, this is it, we're happy with this, basically, we like it. And you pick the single. You guys are the record company, you think you know. You pick the single. I didn't care. It could have been any song of the album, I was happy,
They thought that it had a strong rhythmic and emotional feeling to it, which it does. I mean, it has a very driving.
and it was driving.
It's got
yeah.
sort of a dance beat. It's not recorded in the typical dance record style, but it's got a very strong beat and a strong statement.
One song on the album I was curious about. The last song on side 2. What were you trying to do there?
It's sort of an experimental thing. Nobody set out to do a string section that sounded like that. It just sort of came out that way. You want to talk about it?
What happened was, originally we were going to do sort of an acoustic guitar, just a very,
I can see
we
that,
wanted
yeah.
to do an a cappella thing, something with just the voices, and possibly a bass line running through it. And then we started talking about it. We started fooling around the studio with a synthesizer, working out some string parts, and I felt physically ill at the idea of thinking that it would be just voices and synthesizer.
Yeah.
For some reason that seemed very odd to put on the album. So so we worked it out so that we could do it with a full string section. And so we hired 6 players, and they were the same players and the same string arranger who worked with Simon and Garfunkel and several other amazing artists.
Good credibility.
As soon as I heard that he had done stuff on Old Friends, I just liked it. So he worked out an arrangement David Kahn listened to it just over the phone. The man played the chords out for him, and David said, "Jimmy, I'm gonna come over, okay?" And David Kahn and Jimmy Haskell sat down and reworked this arrangement so it had those sort of odd twists to it and that kind of thing, to make it sound a little less. We wanted it to just be a mood piece, you know. Yeah, we kind of liked the way it faded out that way, because what happened was that's David Kahn playing that.
Yeah.
Because what happened is when we recorded the voices, he sat in the studio and played this guitar, which he could barely play, and his fingers hurt, and he didn't really know what he was doing, but he wanted to give us a beat to sing to. And that's what all it was. We were sitting there and singing to this scratchy, raunched out guitar. And then we recorded the strings, and then we listened to the guitar against the strings, and we loved the contrast in the texture between the smoothness of the strings and then the real grunginess of the guitar. And so we decided to let it go out on the guitar because of the way it just left you feeling.
Yeah, in fact, I think that works, the guitar part. I think
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah,
even though-
I like that too.
What's the song called, by the way? I forgot.
More
now.
Than Meets the Eye.
More Than Meets the Eye, that's it. Your first EP, Mary Street. What is Mary Street? Is there an actual street, or is that...
There is actually. There's several.
We didn't know about them.
It's kind of like a modern day Georgie girl,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
that kind of idea of,
Yeah.
you know, get out there and get your life together, that kind of thing.
We were trying to think of a name of this imaginary character, you know, in the song, and I don't know, we just thought of Mary Street. We just named the person that. Just like Nick Lowe. Oh no, there was a real Mary Provost. I always love that song he did on Pure Pop. Mary's a good all-around name. Yeah, that is so sad. What a great song, though. We finally met Nick Lowe on music. I love that song. I love that record too.
Yeah, what do you think of some of the contemporaries out now? You mentioned Prince and that. What do you listen to now?
I love Prince. I listen to Purple Rain about 5 times a day. And I love R.E.M.
Oh,
Yeah, I love Elvis Costello, and I love Marshall Crenshaw, and I love everyone. I love everything. I love the world.
you're not afraid of the word pop, then? That
Not
seems
at all.
to scare a lot of people.
I'm not afraid of the word pop.
Pop is good.
Pop is good. What's wrong with that word?
Oh, nothing. But
It's
there's
just
many
like saying
people-
decorative about a painting. You can go decorative. It can't be decorative. It can't.
It must be art.
Yes, it must be art. It must be, you know. I mean, pop is fine with me.
I mean, basically we're a rock band because that's our basis, but we have definite
sensibilities.
yes, definite pop touches.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. Anyway, I'll let you eat and go to the other
We're
interview.
done
and,
eating.
well, then drink.
How about that?
Okay,
Mary.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.